This is Libertarian Express Radio Network. I'm Robert Rowe, and I am the Resistance. Hello, and welcome to the show. I'm Robert Rowe, and I'm with Dan #1 Whitman. Say hello, Dan.
Hello.
Dan is my friend. He and I have known each other for about 20 years, and he's going to be joining us on the show periodically, and he operates the mixer board and everything, which he has graciously donated use of to our show. Thank you very much, Dan. We really appreciate that.
Not a problem.
And I imagine that the people listening to the show appreciate the fact that my voice won't squeak like a teenage boy now.
Yeah, somebody's got to put some bass in your voice.
All right, well, anyway, Dan is new to the Resistance. He hasn't really been involved in this very much, and I think he's only involved in it now because I keep hammering him over the head with the facts of what's going on in this country. So, Dan, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little about you?
My name is Dan, and I have been a DJ for 17 plus years and just love doing this. This is a little bit differently. I'm used to talking behind the mic, but doing a live show like this with you on these topics is going to be a new experience.
All right, well, we're glad to have you aboard, and I hope everybody else enjoys your input on this show as well.
We'll see.
All right. Today, I want to talk a little bit about resistance.
Wait.
What?
We need to tell the folks, today is actually Friday, February 21st of 2014.
That it is. Thank you for reminding me of that. I forgot about that. And the title of today's show is Resistance is Not Futile. Now,
wait. If resistance is not futile, how come on Star Trek they always said resistance is futile?
Yeah, but remember, Jean-Luc Picard, he was able to overcome.
He was.
All right. Now, just in case you guys haven't picked up on it, Dan and I are both very avid Star Trek fans. That's why his nickname is #1, because I'm the captain and he's my #1. Anyway.
Got to make him feel important somehow.
Over the past few years, as I've been speaking with you and writing articles and what have you, I've tried to engage your minds and educate you about the truth. Now, sometimes I've done this in vain and what have you, but for the most part, most of you listen. Thanks, Mom. But I want you to understand that our country was founded in resistance. And it's only through resistance that we will reclaim our fast disappearing liberties. Yet, time and time again, whenever I bring this subject up, I receive comments about how it's too hard or it's something that they will make illegal as soon as we try it, or some other such excuse as to why resistance is futile. Well, I'm here to tell you the government is not the Borg. Resistance is not futile. I want to clear up something very quickly here, and then we'll move on with the show from there. There are many of you out there who believe that the only effective form of resistance is an armed resistance, and I want to make it perfectly clear what my stand on that is. Armed resistance is the absolute last resort when all other forms of resistance have been tried and failed. Now, I don't believe for a minute that armed resistance should be taken off the table. The whole purpose of the Second Amendment is to provide for an armed resistance should it become necessary, and believe me, we are fast approaching that day. But the peacemonger in me believes that all other options must be attempted first, and I am a peacemonger. What about you, Dan? You a peacemonger?
I am especially after I get my first cup of coffee in the morning.
I know how that is. He's a bear in the morning. But you see, here's where the problem is. Nobody wants to try those other options first. People seem to want to jump straight to grab the rifles.
You know, there's so many other effective ways. And one of the biggest effective way that you can use is to do what we're doing right now. And that is speaking up, communicating with others.
And educating the masses.
And just sharing your opinion.
Exactly. Get out there and talk with your neighbors. Find out what your neighbors think. You know, some of your neighbors are nutcases. I get that. You know, we have a lot of liberals in this country.
Wait, there's nuts outside of my own family?
Well, believe it or not, there's even nuts outside of California. But, again, that's another episode. But see, the thing is, people don't want to try these other forms because these other forms actually require people to do something. It requires people to think for themselves, and it requires sacrifice. Now, those are things that people aren't interested in doing anymore. It requires that people actually stand up and say, hey, this is wrong, and I'm not going to participate in it. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, recently, Department of Homeland Security has announced that they want to push forward with their license plate tracking program. Now, I know the very next day they told everybody, oh, no, we're not really going to do that. We're lying to you. Sorry. Okay. And if any of you actually believe them, then you're a fool. But basically what this program does is it follows your car's license plate wherever you go. Now, using traffic cameras and ATM cameras and security cameras and what have you, they can track the movement of your vehicle in real time. And they can find out where you're going, where you've been, how long you were at each place you visited, and in some cases they'll even be able to tell what you've purchased at the stores where you shopped. Now, make no mistake about it. This is all about control. Specifically, it's about gun control. By using this system, they can view the security cameras of any store which sells guns or ammunition. They won't have to be concerned with whether or not gun registration or licensing laws pass, because they will have a detailed account of exactly what kind of gun you purchased, what caliber of ammunition you purchased, or even how many rounds of ammunition you've purchased. They'll know about it. They'll know about any peripherals you buy for your weapon, like a bayonet or a scope or what have you. Now, this won't affect just gun owners, though. It will affect everybody. Dan, what did you buy last time you went to the store?
I think it was a Pepsi and a chocolate bar.
Okay. No weapons, no ammunition, no.
We're not supposed to talk about that. I don't want them
yeah.
to know that what I have.
All right, but even if you're not a gun owner, even let's say you're a prepper that doesn't own a gun, they're still going to know what you visited or what stores you visited, and they're going to know what preps you've purchased or whatever other items you've purchased to facilitate your prepping.
Yeah, my watermelon seeds might be dangerous.
If you're a survivalist, they're going to know every knife, every machete, every compass, every freeze-dried food packet, even every book of matches that you purchase. Now, gardeners, they're going to know exactly what seed varieties you purchased, and they're going to know exactly how many. And if those seeds didn't come from the corporate master, Monsanto, guess what's going to happen? Did your seeds come from Monsanto?
Well, yeah.
You better take the fifth on that one.
I'll take the fifth.
But if those seeds didn't come from Monsanto, guess what? They're going to find some reason to harass you. They'll arrest you, or they'll even shoot your dog. And what's up with that? I want some police officer out there to email me, and I want you to explain to me exactly why it is you guys are shooting everybody's dogs. That's just wrong.
Because they've had too many donuts and can't outrun the dog.
Now, I know a lot of you think I'm crazy, and a lot of you think I'm lying to you, and you think I'm some kind of a crazed conspiracy nut. And let me assure you I'm not. I mean, I know there's conspiracies out there and what have you, and I'm not a good enough journalist to be able to uncover the truth behind most of these conspiracies. I can give you my opinions and what have you, but I'm not Alex Jones. I'm not going to try to represent my opinions as truth or fact. The government has not made it any secret that they want to implement this program. They've outright said they're going to do it. And in many cities across the country, they already are. In fact, right here in beautiful Salem, Oregon, they are already implementing this, and they have for the last year. In fact, the local papers and the local radios and television media, they've all hailed this as a breakthrough, a technological breakthrough, and law enforcement and local newspapers have just been eating it up. They're not hiding the fact that they're doing this, and they don't have to. And you know why they don't have to? Can you guess why they don't have to, Dan?
Because nobody's paying attention.
That's right. Nobody's paying attention, and those few who are paying attention aren't going to do anything to stop them, and they know it. Why? Because you've become too fat and too lazy. You're too afraid. You can't be bothered with getting up from your couch to do anything because you'll miss your favorite television program.
Does that mean I'm going to get in trouble because I didn't rewind my DVD the other night?
Hey, you never know. But the thing is a lot of you have become so lazy that you can't even be bothered to set your DVR to record your favorite television program so that you have time to go out and participate in the protests or meet with other like-minded people to discuss what's going on and figure out ways to defeat the evil that is overtaking our country. You're allowing them to violate your Fourth Amendment and other rights simply because it's easier than standing up for what is just and what is correct. Now, there are still a few of you out there who are at least listening, if nothing else. Now, recently when the topic of what DHS is planning to do hit Facebook, I responded on the thread, an easy, simple, inexpensive means to defeat the process.
You know, I know what that is.
And what?
You go down to your local electronics store.
Yeah, like Radio Shack or something.
Radio Shack, Fry's, Best Buy, wherever.
Right.
And you pick up a few LED lights.
Yeah, the infrared ones.
The infrareds.
Yes.
And you put them around that little square of your license plate, and that messes with those cameras.
It does, because those cameras can't see past the infrared light.
It's a simple solution.
It's a simple solution. It takes a little bit of wire and a little bit of patience and maybe a screwdriver.
Yeah, we need to work on you for that. I mean, but, you know, Rob, that's an excellent idea, and I agree with it. However, what if it only lasts 5-10 minutes?
And that's exactly the point. What if it does only last 5 minutes? What if 5 minutes after we've tried it, they outlaw it? They say you can't do that anymore. If it lasts for only 5 minutes, then that's fine, because that's 5 minutes longer that we have protected and preserved our liberty. That's 5 minutes longer we have lived as a free people.
You know, this country was founded on fighting and keeping our freedoms.
Exactly. And we need to continue to fight to keep those freedoms. It's not something that we can ever let our guard down on. Anyway, when I proposed this comment, or this solution in a comment on a thread in Facebook, the very first response that I got was that it would be made illegal within 5 minutes. And as I stated, that's great because that's 5 minutes longer we've protected liberty. But the point is that was the very first comment that I got. And that's contrary to what the resistance is all about. The resistance is about finding the ways to defeat the system, finding the ways to circumvent the stupid laws, the rights-infringing laws that they are passing. Go ahead. You want to say something?
You know, it's really simple. You know, the form of going out and talking with your neighbor, going out and saying more than I want fries with my order and everything else. Just being friendly and bringing back the sense of community is all it takes, people.
And I agree with you on that. The whole concept of liberty is that it must be fought for with every fiber of our being. And if you don't believe that, if you don't love your freedom enough to take one afternoon and build an incredibly easy means by which to protect your liberty, then you need to march right over to the Democratic or Republican Party office in your city or your neighborhood or wherever and register with them, because you are exactly the kind of person that they are looking for to have as members. Unthinking zombies who will think as they're told and who will vote as they are told. Now, American history is replete with examples of successfully conducted peaceful resistance. And while it's true that some of those forms of resistance have been outlawed in recent years under the previous several administrations, we still have an obligation to try. Now, I'm going to digress for a moment, and I want to discuss these so-called free speech zones. Now, a free speech zone is a place set up by the government for the purpose of exercising your First Amendment right of peaceable assembly and free speech. Now, the purpose of these free speech zones are to limit access of protesters to those against whom they are protesting. These zones are typically set up far away from areas where one can expect the target of the protest to be at the time of the protest. Now, the reason given for this practice is the same one that they always give, and it's really getting tired. It's for the safety of the person or people whom we're protecting. Really, seriously, it's a protest. Nobody's threatening to kill anybody. They're just out there saying, hey, what you're doing is stupid. You're stupid. Stop doing it. That's all they're saying.
Now, if I am understanding you correctly, if I was to walk out of, say, a store somewhere, and I saw my state legislature person walking by with some...
Do you mean state or do you mean federal?
Either one, actually.
Okay, because it doesn't apply to state. It only applies to federal.
Okay, so I'm corrected. But federal, and they happen to have some Secret Service people with them because they need to be protected because they're idiots. And I want to go up and talk to them, and they don't want to hear what I have to say. They can arrest me.
They can arrest you, and they can charge you with a felony. And they can do it without it even being a law. Did you know that? It's not even a law.
Wow, that's unheard of.
That's right. It's just a presidential executive order, which has no force. It is not a law if it's a presidential executive order. It can be ignored.
Yeah, but this is also a president that has made it okay for people to protest at military funerals.
Yes, I know. This guy does everything exactly backwards.
You know, instead of giving that military person and their family that sacrificed their life to protect our freedoms the peace to grieve and say their goodbyes, it is okay for other people to come in and just make an uproar idiot of themselves.
And just in case any of you are wondering, we are talking about the Westboro Baptist Church. You're a bunch of friggin' idiots.
Thank goodness for the people on the motorcycles that will come in and
damn straight
make a barricade between the protesters and where the funeral is being held.
And you know, I loved that story because I forget which motorcycle group it was. It was Hell's Angels or Gypsy Jokers or somebody like that. But it's a group that's typically associated with some bad things that happened back in like the 60s and 70s when these groups first originated. And so as a result, they have a bad reputation even to this day. And yet those are the ones that came to the aid of the grieving families of our fallen heroes. And I just thought that was absolutely spectacular. And my kudos go out to those groups, whichever group it was.
And, I mean, this group will go anywhere, any place, any time to be able to do that.
Well, it's even getting to the point where college students, notoriously very liberal in their politics because they're young and stupid still, but, they're young and inexperienced. And they don't understand that liberalism is an evil. But even those college students have told Westboro Baptist Church, you're not going to participate in doing this. They surrounded that one funeral, if I recall correctly. I forget which college it was, but I thought that was an excellent thing.
Anyhow.
All right, so what does it mean for us when the president... when you violate the president's presidential order and they arrest you and they charge you with some kind of a felony for violating something that's not a law? It means two things. The first is that the president has set up those who serve as members of the Congress or on his cabinet or in his administration as a type of royalty, if you will, that cannot be touched by us mere common men. The people, that's with a capital P, have become the people with a lowercase p. With the stroke of a pen, This president has created a serf class out of the masters of this country and a ruling class out of the servants. In one move, one stroke of the pen.
So the old adage, the pen is mightier than the sword, is true.
It's very true. And with one stroke of his pen, he successfully conducted a revolution without a single shot being fired and without any opposition. The second thing that it tells us is that if any of us mere serfs should say or do anything around or in the vicinity of, and let's talk about in the vicinity of for a second. In the vicinity is determined by the person being protected or by the Secret Service themselves. So in the vicinity can mean anything from a block to within 10 miles, depending on who's making up the rules on that particular day. So if you happen to be protesting or peaceably assembling in the vicinity of one of those people being protected by the Secret Service, you have now become a criminal. You've committed a felony. Now think about that for a minute. Like Dan said, it means that you lost your Second Amendment right. Now let's think about, let's take that one step further. Let's say you're out exercising your First Amendment right to peaceably assemble, and let's say you're even obeying the presidential edict that says you have to do it only in a free speech zone. And, of course, there are armed police around making sure that everybody is sufficiently intimidated that they don't cause any ruckus. Suddenly, the president's motorcade drives by. Guess what happens? All those protesters are now being arrested because they're protesting within a block of the president while he's being protected by the Secret Service. And let's face it, he's under 24-hour surveillance by the Secret Service, so you can't get anywhere near him without being near Secret Service. So now all those people are arrested. They all now have a felony on their record, and with one fell swoop, thousands of people just lost their right to bear arms. And they didn't do anything wrong. On the face of it, this might seem to be preposterous. A lot of you are thinking to yourselves, there's no way that could happen. A lot of you are thinking that I'm overreacting. But I want to ask you this. If 5 years ago I had told you that the president would create an executive order which would severely restrict your First Amendment rights, creating these so-called free speech zones, making it a felony to protest anywhere in the vicinity of a person who's receiving Secret Service protection, what would you have thought? You would have thought, no way. It could never happen. Congress would never allow something like that to happen. And yet this president, it did so. This president has made it a habit to do those things which most thought would never happen in this country. And he's had the support of Congress, even if it's only by their silence and their unwillingness to denounce his actions. Now, I know recently we've seen in the news, particularly on the Fox News channel, and you've seen these representatives that are saying, we're taking a stand and we're going to sue the president and we're not going to let this happen anymore. And, of course, it's an election year. That's why they're taking that stand, because they've had the opportunity to do this before. They could have done it when he signed the executive order, but everybody was silent. They didn't want to be called racist. And they could have done it last year, but they didn't. But now all of a sudden this year, they're taking a stand against his presidential executive orders.
That's only because it is an election year and they have something to benefit.
Exactly. The Republicans are hoping that by taking a stand, which probably won't work in the end, but by taking a stand, they're hoping to bleed off a few votes from the independents in this country.
That is true. And what people need to realize is that Congress and even the president actually work for us, not for themselves.
Well, don't tell that to Congress.
Well, sorry, Congress. It's true.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the Constitution of the United States of America defines the free speech zone in America to be everything between the Atlantic coast and the Pacific coast. Everything from the Canadian border to the Mexican border. Also, it includes all of Hawaii, all of Alaska, all of Guam, all of Puerto Rico, and all of every other American holding or territory. However, this does not include military bases. It does not include any region that is controlled by the military or is under police dictate. In other words, anywhere that the military is operating. So if you are out practicing, or if you are being told you are not allowed to practice your First Amendment rights and you're not on a military base, then you are under military or police dictate. In other words, you live in a police state. How many states are there out there that don't allow you to participate in exercising your free speech in anything other than a free speech zone? If I recall correctly, the last number I had was 10 states require free speech zones. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that. If anybody knows for sure, email me and let me know. If you're afraid to protest, then you have identified one of the problems. The American people are not supposed to be afraid of the government. The government is supposed to fear the people, with a capital P. When the government fears the people, you have freedom. When the people fear the government, you have tyranny. How many times have we heard that? How many times have you seen that on Facebook or other social networking pages? But if you don't go out and exercise your rights because of fear, then you are the problem. All right, I'm done with my digression. Let's bring this back on track. Many of you have stated that we should use the Founding Fathers as an example of how to resist. After all, they were afraid of the King of England and the power he wielded, yet they stood against him, and in the end, they won. At least I'm pretty sure they won. Didn't they win?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, didn't they create a whole new country out of that?
You know, they did.
Yeah, they did, and what a wonderful country it is.
Used to be.
Yeah, true. But there are some of you out there who say that it's different today, that the situation is different. Our government has access to infinitely more powerful weaponry, infinitely more money, resources, and influence.
But how did they get that?
We gave it to them.
Exactly.
The government doesn't have to cross an entire ocean on wooden, wind-propelled ships to get to us. They're right here, they're right now, and they have their boots on our throats. And to you, I say you are absolutely right. They are here now, and they do indeed have their boots on our throats, which means we have nothing to lose by resisting. I mean, they're going to kill us anyway if we resist, right?
They're going to try.
Absolutely. And any general will tell you, there is no more dangerous adversary than one with nothing to lose. I mean, there's a reason that we tell people you don't back an animal into a corner. Resist every moment of every day. Make your last breath an act of defiance. Make everything you do an act of resistance. Make your very lifestyle an act of resistance. They don't want you to purchase guns and ammunition, so you go out, you buy guns and ammunition. Stock up. They don't want you to eat those non-GMO foods. So you go out, you buy heirloom seeds, and you plant your own damn garden year after year, and you can what you grow. They want you to do as you're told, and I tell you instead, think for yourself and do what you believe is right. They want you to sit on your ass and get fat and lazy. So I say, go out and be vocal and visible in your resistance. Make your mantra, I will not go quietly into the night. People in the fight for freedom, we're losing. And we're losing because too many people are unwilling to fight for it. Too many people are too busy working 2 or 3 jobs just to survive. And they're freaking exhausted. And I can't say I blame those people.
You know, people are always out there complaining about this and that. We're not able to do this and that anymore. They're taking control of us. They're doing whatever, and I don't like it. How come these people aren't speaking their mind and letting people know it's wrong?
Many of them are afraid. Many of them are just too exhausted. Many of them don't understand that they are the problem. And many have this unfounded faith that the government will take care of them.
Yeah, but you know how easy it is to turn that around?
Oh, it's very easy. All you got to do is get up out of your chair and walk out the front door and say, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, hell, there are television commercials that give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that. I mean, you've seen that J.D. Wentworth commercial, right? People are opening up their windows and they're saying, "It's my money and I want it now."
Exactly.
Well, open up your damn window and say, "It's my freedom and I want it now." The time for self-absorption is over. The time to organize a united resistance has come. The time to stand up to tyranny is upon us. And we need to do so if we are to preserve our liberty. The tree of liberty is dying, people. Its leaves have turned brown, and they're quietly falling to the ground. The reason it's dying is because the people are no longer willing to sacrifice anything in order to save it.
Wasn't it President Abraham Lincoln that freed the slaves?
I believe that is correct, yes.
So why are we allowing ourselves to become slaves again?
You know, that's an excellent question, and we're actually going to address that in the next episode. If I were to tell you that the only thing you had to do to save liberty is to give away your television set, would you do it?
And Miss American Idol?
You know, and I will bet you that there are 20 million Americans out there who had that exact thought at the moment that I said that. What if I told you that the only thing you had to do to save liberty was to give up your cell phone and exist with only a landline in your house? Would you do it?
No way, dude.
Okay, you and I need to discuss what being a patriot is. If I told you that in order to preserve liberty, all you had to do was plant your own garden every year and can the resulting harvest, would you do that?
That's a lot of work. But you know what? That GMO food doesn't taste very good, so it's well worth me getting down and getting dirty.
Yeah, and it also causes weird fibers to grow out of your body. That's weird. I just don't even understand why people would eat it. If I told you that all you had to do was attend one rally or one protest or some kind of peaceable assembly of your choice in 1 year, would you do that? What if I told you that all you had to do was get out and talk with your neighbors?
Whoa, what? A neighbor? You mean there's other people out there?
There are other people out there. And you don't even have to talk to them about politics or religion or anything like that.
So I can talk to them about comic books?
You can talk to them about comic books.
Cool.
All you need to do is just find out how your neighbors are doing, how they're getting along. For most of you, the answer to the questions that I just asked was no. Because most of you are not willing to do the bare minimum to preserve your freedom. And that's all I'm asking you to do. Do just the bare minimum. There are plenty of other people out there who are willing to make even greater sacrifices. But those sacrifices mean nothing if you don't do the absolute minimum.
You know, our military, men and women, and their families are willing to put their lives on the line and sacrifice for us. Why can't we sacrifice and help them out a little bit?
Exactly. So people, stop watching your television so much. Now, I'm not saying don't watch it at all. I'm just saying cut it back to maybe 2 hours a day or even just one.
That's enough time to watch American Idol.
You can watch American Idol in that time. I'm asking you to plant a garden with your favorite veggies or your favorite herbs or spices or whatever.
I can grow watermelon?
You can grow your watermelon.
Cool.
Awesome. And stop eating all those GMO foods because they're ruining your health. I'm asking you to get involved locally. Forget federally. Federally, it's broken. It's going to take too long to fix. We need to start the problem from the top and go down. Let's start at the local level. Let's fix things locally in order to fix things federally. Attend your city council meetings. Attend your county board meetings. Attend wherever possible your state senate meetings. Find out what your local politicians are doing and resist them when they are doing anything at all designed to increase the power and influence of the state or their corporate masters. Shout it from the rooftops if you have to, but get the word out when a bad law is being proposed.
That's easy to do.
That's easy to do, but how easy is it to determine what is a good law and what's a bad law? Do you know?
You know, I think that's pretty easy.
It is. It's very easy.
Although it does require common sense.
It does require common sense. Here's how you do it, folks. If the proposed law enhances your personal freedom, it's a good law.
Go for it.
If it restricts or decreases your personal freedom, it's a
bad law.
Bad law, exactly. If the proposed law increases the power and influence of the state or their corporate masters, then it is a
good law.
No.
No.
You misspoke. It's a bad law.
Bad law.
We don't want to increase the power of the state.
Okay. No state.
If it limits or restricts the power and influence of the state or of corporations, then it's a
good law.
Good law, exactly. Okay, we have a lot to teach Dan about being a patriot, folks, so be patient with us, okay? So it really is that simple to preserve liberty. So the only question now is, why aren't you out there doing the bare minimum necessary to preserve freedom and liberty? And the answer is, if you aren't out there being active, it's because you're too lazy to be bothered with protecting your freedom. And you deserve to lose it. I'm Robert Rowe with my friend
Dan.
And we'd like to thank you for listening to our show today. If you have any questions or comments about today's episode, please give us an email at libertarianexpress@gmail.com. That's libertarianexpress@gmail.com. And as always, we hope you have a great day.